this guy Mancuso to jail.
So, they send people to jail every day in the paper.
But he hasn't done anything we haven't done. He falsified government information.
That was on the state level. You know, people on the county level aren't smart enough to work out what we did.
Maybe not, but Gil is.
Gil Prescott? The last time he stuck his head out the basement window, they started a hockey game. He's no threat.
He will be when the Canterbury office complex comes tumbling down and he goes to check that soil analysis report. Nancy, you have got to get into his office and replace the phony report with the real thing. It's got to be done right away.
I don't have to do anything.
What?
You're just getting hysterical because some minor state official got careless. Don't worry about it. There's nothing to worry.
Nancy, with what Gil's building on, we're lucky he's gotten this far. No, it's got to be done as soon as possible. No arguments.
The front door latches from the inside. Oh, this lock is impossible. I never should have changed either one of them.
Unfortunately, your sister made that a necessity. It's just too bad after all that trouble. We had to go and let her get back in here again.
Well, let's not go into that again, please.
Maybe we should. Wasn't the furniture supposed to be sold with the house?
No!
I take that to mean that you knew nothing about this.
She didn't. She couldn't.
I think we better check out the rest of the house.
No, please. You stay here. For right now, I just want to check on it alone.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, why not? No better way to keep bill collectors off your back. Well, always come prepared. At least she left the glass in the windows. There's one.
Everything. Absolutely everything. The Hepplewhite sideboard, the bed frames.
Look, Miss Davidson, I want you to think very hard. Did Nancy say anything at all to you? Did she indicate in any way that this was going to happen?
No, not at all. She stopped by the hospital a few days ago to tell me that she had taken everything of hers out of Mother's house. That was the last contact I had with her.
Did she try to trick you into saying anything or commit to who was the real owner of the furniture?
No. I barely spoke to her. It was very unpleasant.
Yeah, isn't it always?
Mr. Webster, I promised Jean and Carla Redland that they could buy most of the furniture.
Well, I'm afraid the chances of seeing the furniture again are pretty slim. But this constitutes grand larceny. I can assure you that I will get back at least what the furniture was worth.
Does this mean she's going to be arrested again?
It certainly does.
Oh, here we go again.
Isn't it fun?
No, it isn't. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry. You're right. That was uncalled for. You got enough headaches now. And knowing you, I suppose you're going to want me to handle this outside of legal channels, correct?
If at all possible.
I'll see what I can do. Miss Davidson, where do you draw the line? I I mean, every time Nancy pulls something like this, it's more outlandish and illegal than the time before. I understand that your faith makes for a lot of allowances. But does your God want you to be made a fool of?
Excuse me. Good heavens.
Can I help you?
Well, I certainly hope so. My name is Kate Phillips. A person named Nancy Lawson rented this house to me 2 days ago. Furnished.
Who do you think you're talking to?
The person who masterminded this whole scheme and who promised to see it through to the end. Nancy, this is no time to get cold feet. The job is only half finished. I have taken my risks. Now it's time for you to take yours.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it would be difficult going into Gil Prescott's office and switching the papers. In fact, maybe it'll be impossible. Maybe I ought to just forget the whole idea.
What? You can't do that.
Why not?
Because it would leave us in a horrible spot.
Us?
Me.
Yeah, you. I think you ought to remember that little fact the next time you go ordering me around.
I wasn't ordering you, Nancy.
Oh, no? Just telling me, Nancy, you better do it right now. That's not ordering?
I'm sorry. It wasn't meant to be. I'm just nervous. You can understand that, can't you?
No, I can't. Especially since I've told you how many times there's no need to be.
Does that mean you're still going to do it?
When the time is right.
But Nancy,
Now listen, I have had it with your pressuring. Now either we go ahead with this and you trust me or forget the whole thing.
Are you still coming into the office with me?
Maybe, I don't know, not today.
Not later on this afternoon.
When I'm through.
Through with what?
I have a little financial planning to tend to. Fred is going to help me invest all that lovely money I'm getting from Mother's house.
You mean what's left of it after you pay all your debts off, including what you owe me?
Which will be a little more than $20,000. Not bad for a day's work.
Do try and make it in, won't you?
What's going on here? Where's all the furniture?
Yeah. Funny you should ask.
Who are you people?
Well, I'm Harold Webster, attorney, and this is Terry Davidson, sister of Nancy Lawson.
I would like an explanation, Mr. Webster.
I wish I had one for you, but we just arrived a few minutes ago and found the house just like you did. You say Nancy rented this house to you?
Yes, the day before yesterday. I gave her $200 deposit plus $400 for the first month's rent.
Yeah, that's Nancy, all right. Get the money up front.
I don't find this amusing in the slightest.
Did Nancy give you a lease of any kind, Mrs.
Phillips. Kate Phillips. No, she didn't, but I do have a receipt signed by this Miss Lawson person. I agreed to rent the place month by month. There you are.
Excuse me, Mrs. Phillips. Do you happen to have a daughter named Stacy?
Yes. Do you know her?
Well, in a way, well, through your husband.
I see.
This is very interesting, Miss Phillips, but unfortunately, Miss Lawson had no legal right to rent you this house, furnished or unfurnished.
I was beginning to suspect as much.
See, in fact, she only owns half the house. The other half is owned by Miss Davidson here. And the court has ordered that the house be sold at auction. A fact which she was well aware of when she took your money. I'm afraid, Miss Phillips, that you are just one other person in a long line of Nancy Lawson's victims.
I'm very sorry.
I don't intend to be anyone's victim. I have a piece of paper which proves that she took my money. And if you don't think I intend to use this against her, you're not a very good lawyer, Mr. Webster.
Oh, funny you should bring that up. I was just about to recommend that myself. My card.
No, you can't.
I beg your pardon.
Well, I mean, you can, but I'm asking you not to.
Oh, Miss Davidson.
Look, I'm just as angry as you are, probably angrier. There were so many things in this house that I couldn't put a price tag on, and now they're all gone. I've asked Mr. Webster to talk to Nancy, to see if we can settle this without involving the law. would you be willing to have him talk to her on your behalf as well? To see if she will return the money to you voluntarily?
What kind of time frame are we speaking about?
Well, 24 hours would be just about the most we could ask her to wait.
24 hours, then.
Fine.
Miss Phillips, how will I get in touch with you?
I'll get in touch with you, Mr. Webster.
Hello.
Peter.
I'm early for my 10 o'clock class. Thought I'd come over and brighten your morning.
Oh,
Sure looks like it could use some brightening.
Peter, don't.
Cup of coffee? Well, I'd love one. Never thought you'd ask.
Well, there isn't any.
Juice? Tea? I'll make it easy on you. Water?
Ben sent you, didn't he?
What are you talking about?
Oh, forget it, Peter. It isn't gonna work.
When would I have a chance to talk to Ben?
Oh, this morning at breakfast, or maybe last night before you went to bed.
You guys moved out, remember?
One of us did, anyway.
One... Oh, he didn't come in last night.
Surprise, surprise. Come off of it, Peter. I know that he stayed with you and Mom last night.
No, Laura, he didn't. You want to tell me what happened?
Well, I guess that's all there is to tell.
I'm sure Ben had a good reason for doing what he did he?
Yeah, well, you'll have to ask him.
I'm asking you.
Well, this is a matter between a husband and a wife. And I don't think you're capable of understanding all that's involved anyway.
Oh, yeah? Well, maybe not, but I'll tell you what I am capable of understanding, and that's your immaturity. Mom told me about the fight you had. I know why you moved out yesterday.
Well, there's two sides to that.
Yeah, right and wrong, and you happen to be wrong.
And I don't need to listen to this.
No, what you need, everybody's afraid to give you.
Oh, goodness. Little brother has grown up, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's a shame big sister hasn't. I'm surprised Ben stayed as long as he did.
Well, maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you should be surprised that I've stayed with this as long as I have.
Yeah, right, yeah. In the face of love, understanding, support, and patience, what else could we expect? Anger, contempt, right?
Was this what you're giving me, Peter? You're giving me understanding, support?
What I'm giving you is my response to being made a fool of. I'm sure that's what you're getting from Ben, too. Lori, people can only take so much. Obviously, you don't want what you had before all this started. Which is good. Because I don't think you're going to get it back.
Peter, I don't want to lose Ben.
Then why are you acting like this?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Nobody's lying to you. That's Ben's baby you got there. Remember that Christmas when you just had to have that Polly parasol bike? Remember it was all pink and frilly and ridiculous looking? Dad told you it'd break in a minute. But you wouldn't take no for an answer. So, even though it was expensive and it'd be the only thing you'd get. Remember?
And I got it.
Mm-hmm. And it broke a couple of days later. Well, there are a bunch of stories like that. Like that haircut you got that Mom didn't want you to get, or that transparent raincoat that you hated. And that stupid dress that you wore at Aunt Nancy's wedding.
Peter, I'm not 12 anymore.
Yeah, I know, but it's still the same problem. You're always right. Everyone else is always wrong.
That is not true.
See? That's the response you always give, the automatic
Well, it would
response.
be yours, too, if you'd gotten yourself into a situation that got this out of hand.
Very good. You admit there's a problem. And you're partially responsible for it.
Yes, I do. But I really want the chance to make everything right.
No offense, Lori, but you said the same thing before. Now, how's Ben gonna know you mean it?
Because this time,
I'm going to do more than just say it. I'm going to back it up with my actions.
Yeah. What actions?
Well, first of all, I've got an appointment with Dr. Galvin this morning. I've realized that I've been all wrong about that.
Good.
But Peter, listen, you've got to help me find him so that I can tell him. I've got to tell Ben.
I don't know where he is, really.
Mom didn't say anything to you this morning?
No, if he would have said something to her, she would have mentioned it. Now, look, you just go to the hospital and find him.
Yeah.
Hey. No turning back. There's too much at stake.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
You see, it's virtually the same story in half a dozen cities up and down the East Coast. Baltimore, Charleston, here, Richmond, Atlantic City. Vince Cardello's grip was very tight. Probably too tight.
Wait. I don't follow.
Look, in an organization like his, one man has to be in charge. But the trick is how to hold that power while letting everybody function with his own style. For whatever reason, in those cities where there are problems now, Cardello's grip was just a little bit too tight because there was no one there to succeed him smoothly. Now, you see, that works very nicely for us. Because while all these hoods are grabbing for power, the machinery stops. That way we can step in and do some very effective cleaning up.
So are you saying that Kingsley's problem with organized crime is over?
I wish I was. No, it's more like a 20-story building. You see, Cardello's death enables us to knock off maybe 10 or 15 floors. But that's just temporary. It's going to start building up again.
Well, why don't you give me something positive for the readers so they'll feel safe to go back out on the streets again, John?
All right, how about we're watching it very carefully, and it's never going to get that high again.
It's corny.
So sue me.
Sergeant Brubaker?
Mrs. Mason, please, come in.
Hi, Jane.
Hey, Mary.
What can I do for you this morning?
Well, in light of our last conversation, I thought I'd better come over here and talk to you. I've been contacted by Russ Weaver.
Peggy, is there any sign of Mrs. Martin yet? She hasn't called. Still no answer at her home. Okay, I'll tell you what. Call Roberta Stevens up in delivery and tell her I'm... Oh, she is? Good. Send her right in.
I'm sorry I'm late, Dr. Galvin.
I suppose I should be grateful you're here at all.
Well, I was looking for my husband, and none of the nurses or the other doctors seemed to have seen him. I guess I just lost track of the time. I'm sorry.
Why did you run out of here the other day?
It was wrong of me.
Whatever your personal fears are about obstetrics or pregnancy, please bear in mind that this child is at your mercy. I'm very unhappy about your carelessness.
And you have every right to be.
And I'm even more disappointed in Ben. I'm surprised he would allow this. All right. Shall we go to the examination room?
I don't suppose you've seen Ben this morning?
Only in the cafeteria, and we didn't speak. Please.
And all he did was ask you for money.
That's right.
Did it give you any indication where he might be?
No, but I just assumed that he was right here in Kingsley, though.
Where is this guy hiding?
Miriam, did Russ Weaver try to call you again?
No, I think my father really scared him on.
And John, didn't you say something about him trying to contact Marianne Prescott earlier?
Yeah, he did the same thing. Set up an appointment, and then he asked her for money.
What did she do then?
She said no. She tried to talk him into turning himself in, which is the logical thing to do, since there's a good possibility he's being pursued by your friend Lance.
You mean to say that Lance is still in the area?
We don't know where he is for sure, but my first thought on the subject is that Lance wouldn't be that stupid. They'd be smart enough to know to leave town when things start falling apart. I'm still not convinced that isn't the case. Why risk getting caught just to go after Weaver?
Wait a minute, because you don't know Lance. That's exactly the kind of thing he would do. That's the way he gets his kicks. Sergeant, I think it's very much a possibility.
Well, we're going to do everything we can to find him first, and let's just hope we do.
tell you how angry I am, Mrs. Martin. You should have called me the minute you noticed that bleeding.
I'm sorry.
I'm afraid apology just doesn't cut it. You've been totally irresponsible with the life of your child. It's going to take a great deal of effort on your part to undo the damage that's already been done.
Will it be all right, though?
I can't say for certain. A tear in the uterine lining is very serious. I've seen cases like this go either way.
Oh.
Please, sit down, Mrs. Martin. In the next few weeks, you are going to be the determining factor. You're going to have to restrict your movements drastically. Now, I'm not talking about 24-hour-a-day bed rest, but you're only to perform the most essential activities. You're to elevate your feet whenever possible, and you'll have to refrain from sexual relations with your husband.
And if the bleeding doesn't stop,
Well, we may have to admit you to the hospital for the duration of your pregnancy, and we might have to try to surgically repair any damage that's been done. I just don't know. Let's hope it doesn't deteriorate to that level. If you want this baby, Mrs. Martin, you're going to have to do everything in your power to keep it.